Also, President Obama news. President Obama, amid the controversy over Russia's granting of a 1-year asylum to NSA leaker Edward Snowden, has canceled his meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin, which was scheduled to take place next month. I asked, I think it was last week, I think it was late last week, in fact, will the Russian asylum for Edward Snowden have a direct impact on U.S.-Russian relations, which, while technically they are good relations or friendly relations, we know continue to have bumps, right? And when I asked that, I assumed that if the answer was yes, there will be diplomatic repercussions here. They wouldn't be obvious to us. They wouldn't just show up on, the AP's newswire. And that's exactly what has happened. We now have news that President Obama is canceling plans to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin next month. And the AP says as follows: the decision reflects both U.S. anger over Russia's harboring of National Security Agency leaker Edward Snowden and growing frustration with the Obama administration over what it sees as Moscow's stubbornness on other key issues, including missile defense and human rights. So I'm split on this for two reasons. If it is over, and it seems to be about two things, let's focus on those first. Number one, the Snowden asylum. Number two, when we talk about human rights, that could be the incredibly anti-gay stuff coming out of Russia. So I really am split on this. Let's explore first the asylum. If the U.S. is angry with Russia for not extraditing someone that the U.S. has asked to be extradited, there is total hypocrisy. If we look just a year ago, President Obama refused to extradite the Bolivian ex-president de Lozada, who was welcomed into the U.S. by the Bush administration. Bolivia demanded he be extradited to stand trial, and the U.S. did not do that. So that's hypocritical. The U.S. does the same thing. Now, maybe the U.S. doesn't really care about the relationship with Bolivia, or is not as interested in actively having a public dispute over that. But again, if the U.S. is angry about Russia making a decision that they can make about asylum, we have to remember that the U.S. has also refused extradition requests from other countries. That part, I think, shows a little bit of a decline, certainly, in diplomatic relations. On the other side, though, is this issue of human rights, which the White House said the canceling of the meeting with Putin is in part over human rights. And by that, I can only assume the reference is to the incredibly anti-gay policies that we've been hearing. We covered out of Russia. We covered last week the story of a Russian politician saying that during the Olympics in Russia, they will indeed arrest any gay athletes and any gay tourists or spectators. I think it is absolutely correct for President Obama to take a stand on that and to say, I'm not going to meet with the president who is overseeing that type of policy. What are your thoughts on this? We're really stuck in a situation where many people, myself included, have mixed feelings. The stubbornness over the extradition and then the position on the gay rights, human rights issue, I am split on. I feel differently about the two. And the result for now is that President Obama has canceled this meeting with Vladimir Putin. What do you think about it? Would this be simpler? Would you be able to more easily take a position on this as an observer of politics if it was only over one of these things rather than two things that I predict a lot of our audience feels definitely not exactly the same about?